Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Griffin, Indiana. It is early autumn, and, well, it is time to do our second cut of grass. Now, talking to the guy down over at the shop, he had this interesting Russian windrower, or swather, I guess they call them, that he wanted me to try out, and I was like, a Russian swather. I'm not sure that's really the greatest product to be bringing to market here in Indiana. He's like, why not? He's like, well, I said, you remember that movie back in like the early 90s, 80s, called Red Dawn, about Russians invading America? He's like, uh-huh. Like, well, do I need to say more? So I went ahead and tried it out. I mean, he made me a great deal on it. So we're going to try it out here. And I have to say, this thing is going through our second cut here quite nice. In fact, we didn't even get a first cut off of this side. This is over here below the house. This little meadow here, and it's cutting through this like it's butter. So yeah, this thing is pretty good. I'm pretty impressed with it so far. Yeah, I'm not thinking that that he's going to get the greatest interest in a Russian piece of machinery here in Indiana, but you know what? Maybe the working width and the amount of time that you're going to save is going to speak for itself, because, well, the equivalent the equivalent American style mowers, well, there isn't one. And, the butterfly mowers, they cost a pretty penny. And you still need a big tractor to work them. This thing, I think, would cost me, if I bought it new, maybe $150,000, about half the price of what one of those fancy German Krone mowers, Krone Big M self-propelled motors would cost. That's like $300,000. This thing's about $150,000, so about half the price. Very, very similar in working width. So it's got that going for it. And, the mowing speed is pretty good on it. I mean, the road speed isn't all the greatest. It doesn't go that fast on the road, but we're not going that far with it, so it really wouldn't matter that bad. So, yeah, I'm thinking about maybe next year, if we're in a good financial situation, I might need to look at buying this thing. Maybe you'll have it on sale at that point. Maybe I can pick it up used. If this thing doesn't get too much use and abuse in the leased pool, maybe I can pick it up used next year for a little bit better price. And we're gonna try something else out new when it comes to baling. We're gonna make silage bales today. So that's what we're gonna do with our second cut. We're gonna make silage. And for that, I've got a new Vicon mower, or not mower, but baler, that promises to really cut the amount of time that we have in the field in half, basically, because it is going to bale and wrap at the same time. So I'm really excited to give that a spin. I mean, we had a large number of hay bales come off of the field across the street for our first cut. We can get the same number of bales off of our second cut. I tell you, I'll be extremely happy. Soybeans are coming along quite well. So let me look at our extended forecast and we'll see maybe how the weather is going to look when it comes time to harvest. So let's go ahead and check the weather here. So today, got good weather today, good weather tomorrow, good weather Tuesday. So this is the first day of autumn, second day of autumn, Tuesday's the third day of autumn, looks good. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday are winter. And then Saturday is the first day of spring, year 2. So it looks like we got pretty good weather throughout autumn. So we should have a good time harvesting our soybeans. And it doesn't look like we're going to have too terribly rough of a winter. Our first winter, we might get some frozen ground, but so far there's no precipitation in the forecast, so it doesn't look like we're going to get any snow, which is nice because that means that maybe we can get our wheat in the ground and get a little bit of a jump start on our planting, so that maybe next year we can get our wheat or whatever grain, cereal grain we're going to plant, we might be able to get that out of the field in early summer as opposed to midsummer, and then that would allow us to maybe put corn in the ground as opposed to soybeans. I'm just going to go ahead and well, get this mowing done over here, and then we'll jump over and start mowing on the other side. And I got some pretty good comments about the time lapse we did for the first cut, so maybe we'll do another time lapse for the second cut. But before that, this video is brought to you by Paul Nadon Jr. Thank you for being a farm baron. some mowing done. Had just under an hour on the mower, and I stopped right there. Didn't want it to roll over to an hour because then I'd have to pay for another set of leasing fees, and that thing was about, I don't know, $7,000, really $8,000 to lease for the first day and the first hour. And then, of course, after that, it's going to tick up another hour charge. I decided, you know what, I don't want to bother with ticking up the extra hour charge for probably 0.2 hours worth of mowing. So I went ahead and just cut it there. We did manage to get this whole area cut and the area across the street cut. We did not get the area over by the barn cut, but that's okay. And we are using the wonderful Vicon Kuverland fast baler. It is the baler that auto wraps and unloads and basically continuously bales, wraps, silage bales. So it allows us to non-stop do this process. Saves us quite a bit of time because, one, we're not stopping and unloading the baler constantly with a round baler. Two, we're not having to come through with a bale wrapper and basically pick up that bale, wrap it, drop it, and go pick up another one. We just keep on motoring on. Now, we are moving at a slower rate, but collectively, slow and steady does indeed win the race between faster baling, but having to stop constantly, and then come around and go through the field and wrap each of these bales. So one thing that maybe some folks didn't necessarily realize or discounted the fast baler, thinking it's nothing fast about it, is that it governs the tractor speed based on the size of the windrow. So here where we have the big windrow, a 9-meter swath of grass, we're moving 5 to 6 miles an hour. You'll see where we have a little thinner swath up here, we're actually going to get to motor up a little bit quicker. Simply because of the volume going into the baler. So what the baler does is it basically calculates out the amount of material going into it and then knows how basically long it's going to take to wrap the bale, and it slows the tractor down such that it is always just a little bit slower than the tractor needs based on the amount of product going in it. So if you have a smaller windrow, then you can bale faster. If you have a thicker windrow, then you're going to be baling slower. But ultimately, in the end, you're saving a ton of time because we're not stopping, we're not unloading the baler, we're not going around a second time across the field, picking up the bales, wrapping them, dropping them. We're just able to keep on keeping on. So, yeah, this thing is well worth, in my opinion, the cost of admissions with respect to the cost of the Vicon Kuverland DLC. You know, let alone all the other stuff that came with that pack. This baler is right up there with probably one of the most valuable aspects of that DLC. So I was just looking, and I'm not really sure how much money I'm going to get off of the silage bales. In theory, the silage bales should pay me more than my hay bales and more than my straw bales. But right now is a pretty depressed price, I think, on silage bales. So let's take a look here at our finances, and you're going to see that Thursday, that was the equivalent of the first day of summer. So that's when we did our first cut, $26,681 in hay bales. Friday was the second day of summer. That was $29,076 in straw bales. And then, of course, the next day, that was when we did all of those fertilizing contracts, $137,874 in fertilizing contracts. And then today is early autumn. It is when we are doing our silage bales. And if we look at the price of silage, right now it is $54 per 1,000 liters. And I think what the Realismus folks did was, I think they made basically silage bales and loose silage the same cost. Used to be way back in the day, back in Farm Sim 17. They really tanked the price of silage bales. So if you made a bunch of silage bales and took silage bales to the BGA, you would get next to nothing. If you had the same amount of loose silage and you sold loose silage at the BGA, you would make a lot more money. Basically, they tanked the price of silage bales, and it may or may not have been deliberate, but I had always thought that it was because, well, doing loose silage at the BGA cost and was so much more time costly, right? It took a lot of time to basically compact the silage, and you had to cover it and let the whole bunker basically cook for the appropriate amount of time. And then you had to use a belt or use a bucket to move that into the digester, and as such you got rewarded by making a lot more money than if you just dropped a whole bunch of bales into the digester. Well, I think in 19 they changed that to where silage bales and silage are the same cost regardless. So I'm thinking that, you know, if we have $208, okay, for 4,000 liter bales, that is basically, whoops, that's 54 times 4, 208. Right, no, 108, so 216. Sorry, so $216 times 53 bales, which is the number of bales that we had a little bit ago. We're up to 73, but you know, let's say that 53 bales, that's $11,400. So that is just a shade under half of what we made off of the hay bales. And I would say that we probably have half of the field done at this point. And then we don't have this section over here done this time, but we do have the section across the street. So I'm wondering if we get, you know, 110 to 120 bales at $216 a bale. That's not a lot of money. It's not a lot more money compared to hay. But I think it's because we're in a price reduction right here, a recessed price. So if you look at our economy screen, now the first day of spring for the first year is often misleading because that is like the normal price when you start up a new game, and we're under hard economy. At least we should be under hard economy. Let's just check. Yeah, we're under hard economy. So that was under normal, and then we changed it to hard. So then this is representing now hard economy. If we look at this histogram, it looks like our best price is going to be midwinter. So it'll be interesting to see what the price is on midwinter. I'm thinking about just holding these bales until midwinter and then selling them and seeing if we can, make a little bit more off of all these silage bales. So we're just going to leave them here in the field. I'm not going to bother with collecting them. We're not going to get another cut of grass off of this until next year. So that's what the plan is. We're going to basically sell these mid-winter. I've been trying to think what we're going to do tomorrow for mid-autumn, and I'm not really sure. I don't think our soybeans are going to be anywhere near done. So they are basically at their second growth stage, maybe third growth stage, right? So I don't think they're going to be anywhere as ready. I really think we're going to be harvesting those beans in late autumn. We look at our contracts. We've got some fertilizing contracts pop back up. We've got some harvest contracts. So we might, if these harvest contracts are still around, we might help some area farmers tomorrow doing some harvest contracts. It's hard to say. But here you can see we're running 12 miles an hour top speed because we were pulling in a little windrow. And as soon as we dive into this thicker windrow, our speeds are going to plummet to probably 6 miles an hour. So we'll see. Here we are at 11, 12, 9, 8, 7. So 8 miles an hour isn't too terrible bad. Up now we're down to 6. So there we go. That's what we've been pretty steady state on, is 6 miles per hour. So guys, I want to thank you for coming out and watching today's video. Like I said, what we're going to do is just finish baling up the silage bales. We're going to hold them until midwinter. That's when we're going to sell them. We're going to see what we have to do tomorrow when we wake up. See if there's any jobs out there to do. See how our beans are looking. And yeah, let me know how you're enjoying this 3-day seasons playthrough. And let me know if maybe you're doing your own 3-day seasons playthrough in preparation for Farm Sim 22. And until next time, happy farming.